Sponsor an orphan, and you'll help support a vulnerable child to have the education they've always dreamed of, so they can build a brighter future. You'll be feeding a hungry stomach and a hungry mind with knowledge that will last them a lifetime. That's the power of an education. Sponsor an orphan now with Islamic Relief.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. This is your brother, your friend, comedian, host, Preacher Moss, here on the ShOUT Show. Hope everybody's having a great day. It's Thursday, kind of grinding down, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We are here. We are on the precipice of the weekend. Thank you guys for coming back. Yesterday, let me explain. I did a video. I shot it. I had some business to take care of. I did the video. I thought that the sound was good. We had some problems with the sound. It was in, it was out. And I wasn't able to correct it remotely. So let me apologize for that. That's on my fault. I should have probably just listened to the broadcast before I put it up there, and I would have been able to correct it or do another broadcast. So that being said, that's just part of the technology. I never wanted to be a person that got so good with the technology that you actually start to depend on it, or you think that it's going to make life easier for you, but it does not. Hear me now. It's not obscure the fact that you have to check on it and make sure the technology is only good as the internet that is involved in, and making sure that things are plugged in and the lights are on. That's it. So that being said, I want to give a shout out to Mo Armour. Please make the dua for Mo Armour. He lost a family member, and he had some family members. You're talking about him doing the Mo show. Yes, we've talked about that in some regards, and you guys saw me having. We actually had a conversation, so we kind of talked it out. We agreed on some things, we disagreed on some things, but it's crazy. So, and that's the way it needs to be. Shout out to my boy Hakeem. Who actually said, yo, man, he's going to see how it was. You need to go talk to these people. A lot of times, brother says you're not going to have time to go talk to folks when you have differences of opinion. I was blessed to go talk. And for those that don't know, Mo Armour, Usman, Azim, all the guys we may have differences of opinion. We may not get along at times, but it doesn't mean we don't love each other or have love for one another. So I'm going to just throw that out there. Brothers are going to bicker. It's not always going to be proper. It's not going to be smooth, but we bicker sometimes. It happens. Okay, there. I got that out. Now, today's topic is confronting our biggest fears, new beginnings. And the reason why I put confronting our biggest fears, new beginnings, is it does have a lot to do with new horizons. You have to move certain things off your table to bring other stuff in. You have to be willing to engage, or I say, usher yourself to some type of transition, whatever it is. And I think fear is something that is, there's different types of fear. There's irrational fear. There's healthy fear. There's a mental fear, the spiritual fear. We have all these things that have to do with fear. Today, I want to talk about fear in some regards as yes, the emotion part of it. Sometimes we have to look at fear in terms of a motivational factor. Sometimes the emotional part is right close to the motivational factor. So we're going to talk about that today here on the ShOUT Show. And I'm going to give a little bit of a tease to a project I hope to be bringing on the show. We have some guests. We're going to be bringing back a Saturday Spotlight. Inshallah, we're going to bring back some of our Saturday Spotlight. Not a ton of them. I think that I'm just being honest. We do 4 times a week, and it's a lot. It's a lot. And I'm not saying that I'm not blessed, or we're not blessed, or I'm not thankful, but I look at people's time commitments, myself, Satana, your time commitment. And sometimes it's like, as much as I love the ShOUT Show, you have to give people a break. You have to afford people opportunities for just working on themselves. It's important. So also today, one of the things with confronting our biggest fears is going to be something we're going to be calling in honor of my big brother, Reginald Kitchen. We're going to have a section called Work on Yourself. Now, when we used to yell work on yourself, it used to be basketball players, college, high school, professional basketball players in the gym, and they would be going through these very strenuous workouts. And what Reggie used to yell out in the gym, bellow out, was "Work on yourself." That's the way it sounded. You work on yourself. And I was reminded of that phrase by a young man who is now a chaplain. He's a chaplain out in Oklahoma City. Um, he was reminded me of that, but he reminded me of when we came. All it made me funny came to Austin in 2004, and we had a basketball camp, and I would yell at the kids as it worked out. Work on yourself. Work on yourself. It's really interesting because he was talking about him and his brother being there, and he said, "You know, and you kept yelling, work on yourself," kept shouting it out, and I was like, "Wow, this is really good." So look, we're gonna take a break. I'm gonna get a glass of water because my throat is a little sketchy. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna be right back. Don't go anywhere. It's a Shadow Show. We're talking about confronting our biggest fears, new beginnings. All right, so I failed to recognize, and Satana has so eloquently reminded me that the Shadow Show is actually coming from Raleigh. We do have a program down here. I'm working with Vital Link and Assalam Masjid down here, courtesy of Imam Oliver Muhammad and his family, who are near and dear to my heart. We're going to be doing a program down here. They're trying to raise some money for New Masjid. This is really, really important to talk about this because a lot of times when we set out to raise money for masjids, particularly African American masjids, we're not crossing the finish line sometimes. And I'm not saying that we don't have the capability, but you know what? A lot of times our constituents are older, and our younger ones aren't there. And sometimes, it does come into a space it does come into a space. It's like, okay, cool. We're going to work it out. We're going to pray on it, but this is a difficult thing. So I'm happy actually to be here. I know I don't normally say that, but to be able to contribute to the effort that they're trying to do, I think is really, really important. I feel like that this is a blessed joint. Okay. So let me get that out of the way. Now, let's get into our comment section. Because I wasn't able to do that yesterday. Thank you so much, Sister Ree, for reaching out in regards to the sound. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to you and your family. Brother Derek, Brother Juwan, thank you so much. We appreciate you. I got to call you because I need a favor. Not a big favor, just a small favor. So we appreciate you. Next up, of course, we got Mama San, better known as Mary Moss. That's her legal name. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mama San, thanks so much for calling and giving me encouragement and giving me ideas and keeping me creative. I appreciate you. And I always like that you always give a salutation to the Shadow Show family. That's important. Thank you so much. Next up, my main man. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi barakatuh. Mark Allen Kennedy, better known as Jelani Locks. Man, we're gonna have to have Jelani on the show. I've been on his show a couple times, but he's a music producer, promoter. He's a good guy. He's a tech guy. He's a Pan-Africanist. He's a Pan-African type of dude. He's a good guy. Very interesting, very well versed. Gonna have to get you on the show, Mark. If I walaikum assalam rahmatullahi barakatuh. Next up, my main man, Altaf Rashid, better known as 6 o'clock, the Canadian envoy to the Shout Out Show. Always here, man. We appreciate you, man. He's a day one, just so you guys know. He's one of our day ones. Always here on the show, always here to support, man. We appreciate you. And I have to really take it in that people actually come to a show. I'm going to tell you guys why, maybe a little bit later, okay? Next up, What's going on, brother? Bilal Salahuddin and his queen, Sister Sonia. How you doing, beloved? Uh-oh, you alone, quiet, man. Hey, you better work it out. You better call that lady, tell her to come back. You know you can't do nothing without Sister Sonia in the house. You better call her, man. Call her, work it out. We're gonna make the art for you. No, peace and blessings to both of you. All right. I know Sister Sonia's out there doing something good. So thank you so much for tuning in the show. So you tune in, she's here in spirit. All right. Next up, Sister Christy Santiago. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Have a blessed day with you, this sister. I appreciate you. Hope all is going well with you, and we make the war for your health. Sister is dealing with some eye issues, and my mom is dealing with some eye issues, and you see I got glasses. I'm always dealing with eye issues, so I'm going to make the war that whatever they're prescribing as a remedy for your eyes, that it's successful. And it's successful and it's permanent. We appreciate you. All right, next up, my little brother Johnny L. Thomas, better known as JTY, like my salon, but hope you're doing well. I'm down in Raleigh, man. I'm getting ready to go see Bethel tomorrow. I was going to go today, but it got a little hairy. But I'm going to get down tomorrow, man. I hope everything's well, brother. We're going to catch up with you. All right, next up, brother Carter. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, beloved. Thank you so much for being on the show. Appreciate you, man. How you doing, brother? Let us know how you doing. I know you tune into the show. All of y'all, everybody in the comment section, I want you to let me know how you doing. I do give you salams, but I want to know how you doing. Are you doing all right? Things are good. Do you need anything? Let us know. This is a family show. Okay, next up. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Kingdom Nudge, much I head. How you doing, sister? Hope all is well with you and your family. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right. And we can't forget, of course, our consultant producer, Sister Satana Whitfield, working the ones and twos of StreamYard, making this thing happen. You know, it's so funny when we first started doing the shout out show, we literally started at ground zero. All we knew was to hit the button. Remember that time? Remember that Satana? All we knew was to hit the button. And I would hit the button, and then we learned. Then Satana started learning on it, and it was really funny. This is a platform we've actually evolved with, to have cameras, to have microphones. It just built, but Allah knows best. So Brother Eric said, I'm doing good, alhamdulillah. That's what I want to hear, brother. Thank you so much for letting us know. Keep us posted, man. If you have anything that you want to talk about, it, you want to give a shout out to somebody, give a shout out to somebody. It is the shout out show. Which means you don't have to give a shout out to me. If you have people you want to give a shout out to, we will shout it out for you. We will be your conduit for shout outs. All right. Let me get to the topic at hand. I hope you guys don't mind that I drink while I work. Okay. This whole idea of confronting our biggest fears, new beginnings. Let me take you to a time where I first it was a bit of a trauma. The first trauma I had as a young kid, a major trauma, was when it became apparent that my eyesight was not that great. My mother and my father had to give me glasses. Now, I've had glasses since I was really, really young. But when you get them and you're really, really young, it has so much to do about your self-image, because you see other kids that don't have glasses, and I wasn't a big kid, so it even made the situation worse, because to have glasses somehow made you look soft or vulnerable, or basically a target for a bully. And I would have these glasses, and I would literally wear them to school, and I would hide them. I would hide the glasses and try to read stuff on the board. I would read a book like this, but I couldn't take notes off the board, and it was all kind of problems. And what I didn't want to be seen as, and this is serious, I didn't want to seem or come across as disabled. Glasses made me feel disabled. Now people going, what are you talking about? We're talking about in the early 70s, and it was different because, you had busing and integration and all that type of stuff. I just want to be like all the other kids. And I had this issue with the glasses, and I wouldn't wear them. Now, you guys have heard me talk about Miss Alveda Jones. Well, I had her as a 6th grade teacher. It became apparent to Miss Jones that I was not wearing the glasses. The teacher told her I would not wear the glasses. And Miss Alvina Jones pulled me to the side and she said, listen, the biggest fear is not your glasses. She said, your biggest fear is that you're going to deny yourself the opportunity to get an education. She said, your biggest fear is that you're lowering yourself to the competition. That somehow you are handicapping yourself. Hear what I'm saying? That you are handicapping yourself. She said, you are setting yourself up to lose. She said, it's a blessing to have the glasses. It keeps you in the game. And I thought about that. And I was like, at a very young age, I was like, there's something extremely profound, even at that age, what this woman was saying. And what she did was really, really important. She pulled out pictures of people who had glasses. And one of the pictures she pulled out was Malcolm X and his glasses. And she told me, imagine if he didn't have his glasses. Would he be the same person? And I thought about it. I said, it makes a lot of sense. Now, that's a trauma that's light. But let's get to a lot of what we deal with now. Any age of COVID, any age of uncertainty in politics, any age of uncertainty in economics and finance, just any age of are we going to wake up in a world that cares? Confronting your biggest fears is extremely important because much the same as Miss Alvina Jones stated, she said, these are spiritual stoppers. We literally employ spiritual stoppers. That the world requires a certain type of transition. Hear me now. It requires a certain transition that not that you're confronting your fears, but you're framing challenges. More people deal with fears than facing their own challenges. That the fear is so incessant, that the fear is so entrenched that we don't try. And I've heard this said, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, the gentleman said, I don't know what your mammy said. He said, but fear is the bedfellow of sadness. He said that sadness has a certain complacency, and the companion of sadness is fear. That we usher ourselves in a way we're not, I'm not saying being forward thinking or brave, but and let me even throw this out. There are so many things these days. There is a market these days. There is a tradition these days. There is an ecosystem of fear. That we're afraid to do things. We're afraid to ask questions. We're afraid to, and hear what I'm saying? We're afraid to go out our own houses. We see things on television that make us not want to go out of our houses. We see things on television that may not make us want to go out and get particular foods. We see things on television and our politics that make us not want to go around this person or that person or things like that. And the thing that cuts through the fear and the sadness is the relevancy of, are we seeking the truth? Because confronting your biggest fears is not just, oh, I'm gonna go on a diet, or oh, you know what, I'm gonna go in the boss and tell him I want more money. It's not that. Confronting fears is an adamant statement that you are trying to live your best life right then and there. You're trying to live your best truth. In the Quran, Surah Asr, and I rarely quote the Quran, but the idea, hear me now, if you read Surah Asr, it's cut down in a couple pieces. By the token of time, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, by the token of time, the age is truly man is in loss. It talks about we wake up with a certain, we wake up with a level of uncertainty. We're not sure. The beauty and sometimes the vulnerability of children is they go through a certain part of life where they're not confident. They haven't acquired enough knowledge about the world to be confident. And even in that child space, many of us as adults, we go through adulthood and we haven't acquired the type of confidence or the type of information to inform us what we do, where we go, how we say, how we say X, Y, and Z. What are the protocols? What's the etiquette of something? What's a regular fork? What's a salad fork? And so on. I've literally been in a room with people who said, I'm not hungry, just because they didn't understand what this fork was for, what this fork was for, what this knife was for, what this spoon was for. And it's not this thing that is it's not paralyzing us. Don't get me wrong, but it is a mandate for a meaningful and a natural progression. Because the thing about fears is you have to be able and have a willingness, and this is your bottom line. Fear does not equal failure. Let me say it again. Fear does not equal failure. Success and failure are outgrowths of what is the attempt and what is the goal. Many times people do not ask the question, what is the goal of me maintaining this fear? What is the goal of me being afraid? Now, there are people who will, I don't do it anymore just because I'm old and crusty. But I remember we used to go to the movies and I'd be with my cousins and we would turn on a horror film specifically because we wanted to be scared. Specifically because we wanted to be scared, not because we were fearful. Now, I'm running up on my time, and I want to make sure, just take a break. We're going to come back, and we're going to start talking about confronting our fears and get to the part about new beginnings. We'll be right back. This is Preacher Moss on the SOS. Hey, babies. Welcome to Radio WCUC, Convenient Urgent Care, home of the smart patient. This is DJ What It Do. You know what time it is. It's the top of the hour, and the request lines are open. You know what you want to hear. I know what you want to hear. Operators are waiting.
I just got to hear Don't Get the COVID.
Don't get the COVID. Put your mask back on. The Delta COVID, more contagious than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get the vaccine. You know that it can keep you safe, and your people living up in your space. Don't get the COVID. You need to wash your hands. The Delta COVID is more deadly than before. Don't get the COVID. Go on and get your vaccine. You know that it can keep you from dying. Don't leave your family all alone and crying. Don't get the COVID.
We invite you to join our fight against COVID and against misinformation. It's time to listen to the doctors and trust the science.
When I think of people dying that don't have to die, it makes me sad. Now's the time to be sober. Together we can make this thing over. Let's fight the COVID. Convenient urgent care, home of the smart patient.
All right, and we're back. So before we left, I referenced Sir Asser, and I talked about the beginning part of it, but I told the time truly managed the loss. The end part of it is interesting because I heard a tafsir being given by Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, and this is really, really interesting. So I'm going to try and get it right. It talked about how we find ourselves in society, how we find ourselves placed in society, that there's no surety that you're going to be right or you're going to be wrong. In life, there's no surety about you're going to be rich or you're going to be poor, educated, not educated. And he gives the premise of an idea. And the premise of the idea is this. Say Satana Whitfield has a great idea. Say Mary Moss, Eric Carter, Johnny, Chris San Diego, Bala. Say all of you have great ideas and you bring them to the marketplace. Everyone knows in the marketplace, every idea is not going to get burned. It's not going to get purchased. Everybody's not going to sign on for everybody else's idea. You make one or two. The one is going to be taken. The wisdom about this is that, yes, we may all have a great idea, but it may be that it's only a great idea to us, that the space and time have to catch up to what we're doing. And that gives the last part about, truth, patience, and constancy, that you're going to continue working. You're going to be true to yourself, and it requires patience. Fear, in some regards, I've heard, is a lack of patience. That you divest, if you will, the importance of patience. And so you're left with a situation or scenario whereby time becomes your mandate, but you don't understand time. It's a weird type of psychosis. When I was a school teacher, I remember a kid, a young man, he's a basketball player, halfway decent. And we used to sit hours trying to get him to do his homework. And we finally got a psychologist there, and we said, is he scared to do his homework? And the psychologist says, no, this is an amoral disorder. He's not afraid to do his homework. She said, he's afraid, period. We asked the question, what do you mean he's afraid? She said, he's afraid, period. That if he moves this way 2 inches, he's going to be wrong. He moves this way 2 inches, he's going to be wrong. He writes something, he's going to be wrong. And she said, basically, he's paralyzed by the fact that he could be wrong, to the point that it has paralyzed his effort. He doesn't do anything because he's afraid to try. And I said, that's a deep thing, because I had never been exposed to that. I'm around motivated people. I'm around unmotivated people. We get out and we do what we need to do. But as we sit here and say this, you'll stop and think that there are people who fit into this category. And there are, some of them are our loved ones, some of them are co-workers, that the fear precludes, it keeps them away from being able to have a new beginning. Satana said, yes, paralysis. We say paralysis in analysis or paralysis by analysis. Same thing. Mary Moss says she's having a good day. I'm glad to hear that, Mama Son. But here's what I'm speaking about. The world, in its context, provides by necessity, discovery. To be an educated person, to be a whole person, just look at the scope of birth and growth. Look at a baby that's born that's this big and wait 17, 18 years and stand that baby beside their mother. Maybe a basketball, he's 6'5", and his mother might be 5'7". Growth demands discovery. That the body has to grow this way, and it has to grow, and it's all a divine plan, because it's funny, all these people on earth, nobody really bumps into each other. But when we're talking about fears, and I've asked people a lot of times, and I have to do a better job of it sometimes, because I can be gruff. I'm like, what's holding you back? Because and I have to be more sensitive. Inshallah, I will, but I have to be more sensitive, because sometimes the thing that's holding you back, sometimes it's crucial. It's crucial. I'm 55 years old. Somebody talk about my glasses, you gonna get it. Look at the glasses. Oh, I'm like, oh, you don't. I've been getting judged about these glasses. I'm finna roast you. But I can deal with the glasses because they don't preclude me from seeing myself doing other things. Being a comedian, being a father, being all these things, it allows me to do these things because you have to be able to look forward. The fear is supposed to be the motivating factor. And sometimes I say fear is a motivating factor, meaning that if you don't get out and do it, you're going to miss out on something. Look, I know I ran over my time. I apologize. And the internet is not that great in this hotel. So I'm going to try and get my money back. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, you guys have been great. What I want to say before I get out of here is don't let your fears keep you away from your challenges. Your challenges are about discovery of who you are in this great big scope of Earth, this ecosystem. And it's necessary, not just for you, but for everybody to seek your challenges. All right. This is a shout out show. You guys have been great. Take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.